A journey beyond sleep, Sparkle's Milky Way. What if sleep wasn't just rest, but a gateway to the deepest mysteries of the universe? In this extraordinary 2-hour voyage, you won't just fall asleep, you'll travel aboard the Somnus 1, a dreamcraft guided by the mysterious sleep scientist, through galaxies that think, planets that sing, and realms where time itself sleeps. You'll pass through gravitational symphonies, reverse horizons, ancient moons that remember forgotten songs, and a region where your own dreams shape the universe around you. This isn't fiction. This is a calm and captivating journey through real scientific wonder, layered with imagination so rich, your subconscious will want to stay. Each chapter is carefully designed to engage your mind, soothe your nervous system, and gently lead you deeper into rest, with the first 10 chapters crafted to capture attention and invite wonder instantly. By the end, you'll no longer feel like a listener. You'll feel like a traveler, returning not just from the stars, but from a deeper part of yourself. Sparkles, press play. Lie back. Let science, space, and silence carry you into the most meaningful sleep of your life. The launch of Somnus 1. The mind needs space to breathe. Tonight, we give it the stars. You awaken not with a start, but with a sigh, a gentle drift into awareness, like sinking softly into warm water. You're not in your room anymore. You're aboard Somnus 1, the floating vessel of the sleep scientist, where dreams become destinations and sleep becomes a star map. The air around you is cool but not cold, like the inside of a deep cavern or the surface of a calm moon. The bed beneath you curves slightly upward at the edges, cradling your form like the inside of a seashell. The walls around you pulse gently with soft, bioluminescent light, blues, purples, and quiet pinks that seem to breathe with you. A voice enters, low, calm, and knowing. You're safe. You've been selected for this voyage through sleep. Through the stars. You are now aboard Somnus 1, a research vessel designed not to explore space, but to explore sleep through space. Aboard this ship, we study how the brain unwinds, when it's surrounded by silence. You take a breath. The ceiling above fades from soft metal to glass, and beyond it, the stars. They're not distant pinpricks like you've seen on Earth. Out here, they're alive. They shimmer and pulse like fireflies frozen mid-flight. Some burn blue, others orange, and still others in shades your waking mind doesn't have words for. The Somnus 1 is preparing to lift. But it doesn't shake. There's no countdown. No fire or rumble. Just stillness, and then, motion. You begin to rise. Not vertically, not forcefully, but as if gravity is slowly letting go of you. Earth fades beneath, becoming a misty globe cloaked in swirling white clouds and glowing city lights. The Earth rotates at 1,000 miles per hour, the scientist whispers. But in here, time stretches. We've slowed everything down, for you. This is where the mind finds space. The body finds rest. A soft tone chimes. The stars above shift. The ship is now in orbit. Outside, the moon curves past, a silent, ancient rock that's watched every human sleep since the beginning of our species. Beyond it, Mars flickers, then disappears behind a nebula cloud like a candle behind a veil. The voyage begins now, says the scientist. We'll visit places no telescope can see. The soundless corners of space. The quietest stars. The frozen rings of distant planets. All while your body rests. And as the ship glides forward, the hum beneath you grows softer still, a lullaby made of physics and peace. You're not just floating through space. You're floating through sleep. And this is only the beginning. The Observatory of Dreams. The universe doesn't speak in words, it speaks in wavelengths, rhythms, and rest. The somnus one moves silently, cutting through the black velvet of space like a slow breath in a quiet room. Stars blink in the distance, scattered like seeds waiting to bloom in the soil of your subconscious. Inside the ship, the light shifts, dimming from soft lavender to deep indigo. The walls adjust to your breath, and your thoughts seem to slow in response. It's as if the entire ship is sinking with you, learning the pace of your sleep, your comfort, your dreams. The sleep scientist's voice returns, steady and reassuring. You're inside the dream observatory now. This is where we observe not the stars, but the brain's inner constellations. Every night, the sleeping mind creates patterns as elegant as galaxies, neural bursts, memory traces, waves of restoration. Above your head, soft constellations form, not of distant stars, but of synaptic fire. Gentle, glowing lines map the dreaming brain like the Milky Way. Each pulse of light represents something you once thought about. A childhood moment. A memory. A scent. A wish. Did you know, the scientist says, that during sleep, the brain remains active, not random, but structured. It replays. It reorganizes. It heals. As we drift deeper, we'll explore the places your waking mind forgets, and your sleeping mind remembers. The observatory is round, its ceiling a dome of shifting, soft visuals. One moment, it shows the swirling pattern of REM sleep. The next, it reveals a distant star system born just 2 million years ago, younger than a child, by cosmic standards. In a way, says the voice, your dreams are made of the same stuff as stars, energy, chemistry, gravity, emotion. Both begin in darkness, and shine in silence. Outside, a comet streaks past, glowing, silent, magnificent. Inside, your breath deepens. The hum of the ship becomes part of you. There is no destination, only unfolding. There is no time, only softness. And you are exactly where you need to be. The planet of whispering ice. Not all silence is empty. Some of it sings. The somnus one begins to slow. Not abruptly, but like a feather settling on still water. Through the wide viewing dome, a pale blue sphere comes into view. It glows softly in the darkness, not from sunlight, but from within. The sleep scientist's voice returns, soft and slow. We've arrived at Aurelia, 7, a frozen exoplanet where the wind never howls, and the ice never breaks. The locals call it the Whispering Planet, though no one knows why. No one lives here. No voices echo. Yet the silence feels alive. The ship drifts low, just above the shimmering surface. Ice stretches for miles, glistening sheets in patterns too perfect to be accidental. Smooth hills of crystal rise like dunes. Underneath them, frozen lakes reflect the stars. The ship scans the surface. Soft harmonic vibrations rise from the speakers, notes sampled directly from the planet's glacial hum. Even ice has a song, the scientist whispers. On Earth, glaciers groan and creak as they move. But here, the ice sings in frequencies too low for the waking ear. Only the dreaming mind can truly hear it. The lights dim again. Your breath grows heavier. The ship gently lands. You remain inside, warm and weightless, as robotic drones float outward, hovering over the ice, collecting data. They don't beep. They don't click. They glide silently, lit by soft blue rings, like jellyfish made of light. We once believed that deep sleep was a state of stillness, the voice continues. But now we know, it's a time of movement. Underneath your still body, your brain is flowing like water under ice, restoring, organizing, healing. Outside, the frozen world glows. The surface cracks slowly, not with violence, but with elegance, like a frost flower blooming across a pond. You close your eyes again. Somewhere far below, the planet whispers. And above it, in orbit, you rest. The nebula of forgotten thoughts. What the mind forgets, the universe remembers. As the Somnus One lifts once more from the icy serenity of Aurelia, 7, its engines barely vibrate beneath you. You're not just moving, you're gliding, softly, as if the stars themselves are carrying you. Outside the window, a haze begins to form, faint at first, then growing richer, deeper, glowing with color. A nebula. But not just any nebula, this one is alive with motion, turning slowly in space like a watercolor painting caught in the breeze. Crimson swirls blend into deep violets, with ribbons of gold laced through folds of space dust. The sleep scientist speaks again, voice like velvet. This is the Mnemosyne Nebula, named after the Greek goddess of memory. Astronomers say it formed from the remnants of a dying star. But we believe it holds something more, something lost. The ship slows to a drift. You float closer to the viewing glass, watching as cloud-like tendrils shimmer with electric veins. When the human brain forgets something, a smell, a face, a fleeting thought, it doesn't vanish. It simply goes dormant. And in sleep, some of those memories return. We believe the Mnemosyne Nebula is a cosmic mirror of that process, a space where energy once lost reforms itself into something new. The nebula pulses. Each beat feels like a memory you didn't know you missed. A warm hand. A late summer wind. A laugh, long ago. A moment that never returned, until now. Inside the ship, the lights adjust, matching the frequency of the nebula's glow. A gentle breeze of sound flows through the cabin, synthesized from ancient star data, restructured into tones that cradle the nervous system. As you sleep, the scientist says, your brain isn't turning off. It's revisiting, rebalancing, rewriting. And sometimes, it sends those forgotten thoughts, into the dark, like messages into bottles. The universe answers, in its own time. You let go just a little more. Your hands soften. Your body grows heavier. And the nebula continues to swirl, gently holding what was once forgotten, now found again. The library planet of Enocta. Long before humans dreamed of stars, the stars dreamed of us. The somnus one glides onward, its gentle course now guided by ancient coordinates, not from Earth, but from deep archives recovered from a derelict probe found floating near Saturn's rings. The sleep scientist, ever calm, adjusts the navigation system without rush. Our next destination, they whisper, is Enocta, a planet forgotten by time. It doesn't appear on modern maps. It has no orbiting moons. No transmissions. No signs of life. Only one thing is certain. Enocta remembers everything. The planet emerges slowly through the viewing dome, a deep bronze orb cloaked in haze, spinning lazily on its axis. Thin, shimmering rings encircle it like strands of cosmic hair. The light from a dying red star washes over its surface, painting it in burnt gold and copper. We call it the library planet, the scientist continues. Because its mountains aren't just made of rock, they're layered with frozen data. Compressed memories. Crystallized knowledge. Stories etched into minerals, waiting for someone to read them. As the ship descends into the atmosphere, the sound of soft static hums through the cabin, not noise, but encoded signals. Faint whispers in forgotten languages. Echoes from civilizations that rose and fell without ever reaching Earth. The terrain is vast and silent. Towering spires of metallic stone rise like cathedral columns. Beneath them, vast plains ripple with magnetic fields that make dust dance in slow spirals. And in the distance, the library. A sprawling structure made not by hand, but by gravity and time. Dome upon dome, carved by wind and preserved in stillness. Inside, ancient tablets glow faintly, readable only through neural interpretation. The ship sends out silent drones, which float through the entrance and begin scanning. Much like your brain, the scientist explains, this planet stores information in layers. When you sleep, your mind files memories, some for keeping, others for discarding. Enocta is the same. It forgets, selectively. But it always keeps the things worth dreaming about. You sink deeper into the bed. The atmosphere grows warmer. Slower. A soft vibration passes through the ship. Not mechanical, emotional. As if the planet itself is remembering you. A screen flickers to life, showing the translated contents of a tablet deep within the library. It reads, "The traveler who sleeps is the traveler who sees. For eyes are limited, but dreams are infinite. You close your eyes. The planet turns. The library waits. And far above it, you float, safe, still, and watched over by memory. The moon that watches. Not all things in the universe shine to be seen. Some simply observe. The somnus one rises silently from the dusty orbit of Enocta, leaving behind it sleeping libraries and echoing archives. As the stars shift once more, a single celestial body holds its position in the distance, too still, too perfect. It is a moon. But not a natural one. The sleep scientist's voice returns, softer now, almost reverent. That, they whisper, is observation unit Theta 9. It's not a planet, nor a star. It is a watcher, an artificial moon placed here billions of years ago. By whom, we still don't know. But it has been recording, patiently. The ship slows as it approaches the silent orb. Smooth, silver-black, and spherical, the moon floats without rotation, as if deliberately frozen in time. Its surface is etched with patterns too complex to be random, yet too abstract to decode. Spirals. Grids. Something like fingerprints. Something like thoughts. The closer you drift, the more it feels aware. In deep sleep, the human brain enters a state of minimal consciousness, the scientist explains. We dream, yes. But we also listen, unconsciously. And Theta 9 appears to function in the same way, always present. Always receiving. Never speaking. Inside the ship, the lights dim to the faintest glow, starlight against metal. Your body feels heavier now, deeply grounded, like the moon is anchoring you with invisible threads. A faint tone hums from the ship's interface. A signal is being received, not in sound, but in rhythm. Patterns that match the frequency of slow-wave sleep. The waves your own brain is just now beginning to produce. It's been listening to space, for eons. Listening to signals from dying stars. To planets breaking apart. To civilizations forming and fading. It never interferes. It never judges. It only remembers. And now, it listens to you. Your heartbeat. Your breathing. Your dreams. Not to record. Not to analyze. But simply to witness. You don't always need to understand everything, the scientist says gently. Some things in the universe just want you to rest. To feel seen. To be allowed. You close your eyes. Outside, the moon drifts on. And inside, you drift deeper than before, held in perfect stillness by something that simply watches, and waits. The garden in zero gravity. Where gravity ends, growth begins. The somnus one eases away from the silent presence of Theta 9. Stars scatter in the distance like spilled pearls. Ahead, a shimmering structure begins to form, suspended in open space, delicate as glass, vast as a city. The voice of the sleep scientist returns, with the calm tone of someone sharing a secret too beautiful to speak aloud. This is Eden Halo. An experimental space biome. A living garden, in zero gravity. The structure is circular, like a halo turned on its side, rotating just enough to provide the illusion of gravity on its outer rim. Transparent walls show what lies inside, floating fields of plant life, blooming without soil or seasons. Ferns unfurl mid-air, their leaves reaching in all directions. Trees twist gently, their roots free and wandering like fingers in a dream. The Eden Project was built to answer one question, the scientist says softly. Can life grow without ground to hold it? Without the weight of the world beneath it? And the answer, as always, is yes. Quietly. Gently. Beautifully. The Somnus One connects to a docking ring, and your cabin aligns with a rotating chamber filled with air and filtered starlight. The door opens, not loudly, but like a curtain lifting. You float forward. You don't walk. You simply drift. Inside, light bends around floating water droplets, each one shimmering like a crystal. Vines climb along invisible threads. Glowing fruits pulse softly, humming with bioluminescence. You pass a lily pad the size of a dinner table, gently turning in place like a sleeping satellite. In deep sleep, the scientist continues, your body regenerates. Cells repair. Muscles rebuild. It's a garden of restoration. Just like this one, tended not by hands, but by time, and quiet intention. Somewhere far in the distance, a hummingbird made of light flutters past, a biomechanical pollinator. It pauses mid-air, hovers, sips from a flower, and then blinks away in silence. A panel nearby displays your vitals, heart rate, slowing. Breathing, deepening. Brain waves, shifting into theta rhythm, the state between dreaming and waking, between thinking and being. Let the garden hold you now, whispers the scientist. Let yourself grow in rest. Float. Unroot. And allow the mind to bloom where gravity cannot. You drift past a cluster of sleeping roses, each petal curled like a closed eye. Everything is weightless. Everything is quiet. And everything, including you, is alive. The silence between galaxies. Silence is not the absence of sound. It's the presence of space. The garden fades behind you. The Somnus One detaches gently, like a leaf releasing from a still branch. With a soft vibration, the ship turns away from the well-lit sectors of known space and begins to drift, outward. Not toward a planet. Not toward a star. But into the space between galaxies, where gravity loosens its grip and even the stars grow shy. The sleep scientist's voice returns, now softer than ever, a gentle murmur just above the sound of your own breathing. We're entering intergalactic space, a place so quiet that light barely travels here. No planets, no stars, no orbiting moons. Just the hum of background radiation, and the memory of ancient creation. Through the window, blackness expands, not as emptiness, but as possibility. The void is not cold. It's gentle. Like a velvet blanket pulled over a restless mind. There is no up, no down. Only drifting. Inside the ship, all systems enter sleep mode. Lights dim to starlight. Displays fade into stillness. Even the ship seems to hold its breath. Here, the scientist says, we observe what we call deep cognitive silence, a state where the brain no longer searches, it simply exists. Your senses quiet. Your thoughts no longer chase answers. This is not unconsciousness. It is spacious awareness. You feel it now. That space, inside you and outside you, beginning to merge. It's like floating in a thought that has no question. Like listening to the pause between heartbeats. Like being held by nothing and everything. Outside, a single speck of light flickers, a rogue star, drifting alone. Not lost. Just independent. At peace. The ancients once believed that dreams came from the stars, the voice continues. But maybe, the dreams were always in the dark. In the quiet. In the places we were too busy to see. The ship doesn't move anymore. It simply drifts. And so do you. Not forward. Not back. Just deeper. And the silence, vast, eternal, and kind, wraps gently around your mind like a night sky closing its eyes. The cradle star. You were born of dust and fire. And still, you rest in light. The somnus one continues its effortless drift, now gliding through the outer edges of a young stellar nursery, a place where stars are not yet stars, but clouds, sparks, and breath. Outside, gas and dust swirl in elegant chaos. Blue and gold threads twist. Like silk in water. Veins of starlight flicker through the nebula's belly, illuminating shapes that seem familiar. A hand. A spiral. A sleeping face. The sleep scientist speaks again, but slower now, reverent, like a parent watching a child fall into sleep. This is Hestia Minor. A cradle star. It's less than 10,000 years old. Barely a whisper in cosmic time. It pulses with the rhythm of formation, a heartbeat made of helium and fusion, beginning to find its voice. The ship floats closer. Soft shields engage, bathing your cabin in filtered frequencies emitted by the star itself, deep, slow pulses that resemble a human baby's heartbeat inside the womb. In our research, the scientist murmurs, we've found that when exposed to cradle star frequencies, the brain enters an unusually peaceful theta state. As if it recognizes the sound. As if it remembers being born, not on Earth, but here, in the sky. You lie still. The hum surrounds you. Not just through your ears, but through your skin, your chest, your memories. It's not just sound, it's reminder. Outside, flares of light ripple across the star's edge, not violent, but tender. Like someone turning over in bed. Like something ancient, stretching for the first time. You are made of this, the voice continues. Carbon from ancient supernovas. Iron from collapsed stars. The calcium in your bones was forged in stellar cores billions of years ago. When you rest, it's not just sleep. It's return. And as the ship begins to rotate slowly, aligning itself with the inner pulse of the forming star, your breath falls into perfect rhythm, soft, long, slow. Like waves. Like light. Like memory wrapped in warmth. Let this star cradle you, the scientist whispers. Let the universe hold you, just as it did long before you were born. There is no need to reach. You are already there. The lights dim completely. And in that darkness, held by a star not yet awake, you fall, gently, into the quietest kind of sleep. The corridor of time-light. In sleep, time doesn't pass. It flows. The somnus one gently changes direction. There is no sound. No signal. No rush. Just an elegant turn, like a thought shifting in the mind of the universe. Ahead lies a tunnel of pale amber light, suspended in space. It's not a structure. Not a wormhole. Something slower. Stranger. A corridor. The sleep scientist's voice returns, almost a whisper now, as if not to disturb the very air around you. We call this the corridor of time-light. Not because it moves fast, but because it doesn't move at all. These golden strands you see are fragments of photonic memory. Light that left dying stars hundreds of millions of years ago, and never reached anything. The corridor glows like sunset through thick fog. As the ship enters it, shadows dance softly across the walls. Not menacing, but gentle, like forgotten stories playing across an old film. Inside your pod, warmth surrounds you, not heat, but presence. The way warm tea holds your hands. The way quiet rooms cradle your breathing. These lights are echoes, the scientist says, of stars that burned before Earth had oceans. The light never stopped traveling. It simply waited, to be seen. The ship slows to a complete drift. No sounds. No machines. Just golden silence. Tiny sparks float past the window, each one a particle of starlight that's been adrift for longer than time can measure. And yet now, here they are. With you. Sleep works the same way, the voice continues. Dreams you've forgotten, feelings you once buried, they don't disappear. They wait, just beneath awareness, until you are quiet enough to receive them. You exhale, not from effort, but from release. You are no longer reaching for anything. Only absorbing. The corridor continues to wind through nothing. The ship doesn't move fast. It doesn't need to. There is nowhere to be. There is only now. And now is golden. The pulse of the hollow star. Even the quietest hearts leave echoes. The somnus one glides gently out of the golden corridor. The silence deepens, not emptier, but more full, as if space itself is breathing slower now. Ahead, floating alone in the void, is something impossible. A star that is not bright, but hollow. It hovers in the dark like a giant glowing shell, vast, spherical, and open at the core. From the outside, it flickers faintly with a pale blue light, pulsing every few seconds like a heart slowing in sleep. The sleep scientist speaks again, voice hushed, melodic, steady. This is an echo star, the last breath of a collapsed sun. Its center burned away long ago, but the energy it once gave still pulses in waves. Some call it a failed star. I call it a memory with rhythm. The ship draws closer, and the pulse becomes clearer. A low, rounded thump, like a distant drum heard through water. Thump, pause. Thump, pause. Inside the ship, your own heartbeat begins to sync with the rhythm. Slow. Even. Gentle. In deep sleep, the scientist explains, your heartbeat slows. Your blood pressure drops. Your body enters repair mode. It listens. Not just to dreams, but to ancient instructions written in every cell. Instructions that say, rest now. Rebuild. The somnus one now drifts inside the outer ring of the star. You are floating in the space between collapse and silence, inside something that once blazed with unbearable heat, now cooled to a gentle breath. Tiny lights move across the walls, particles of matter rearranging themselves as the old star exhales. You're not just observing it. You're becoming part of it. A witness. A sleeper. A rhythm within a rhythm. The hollow star is no longer shining, the voice says softly. But it still gives. Just like the mind in sleep, no longer alert, but more alive than ever. The pulse continues. Thump, pause. Thump, pause. You let go of thought. You let go of time. And you float, weightless, in the chest of something ancient that still remembers how to beat. The field of lucid drift. Sometimes the universe dreams, and sometimes it lets you dream with it. The somnus one emerges slowly from the whispering heart of the hollow star, carrying only the faint echo of its rhythm. The stars around you feel further apart now, not distant, just quieter, as if giving you space to rest. Ahead lies a field. Not of grass, not of matter, but of motion. A shimmering veil, invisible at first, but visible now through the ship's dreamscope array. It reveals soft ripples in the vacuum, like heat waves, or thoughts. The ship floats toward them gently, reducing all systems to minimal power. The sleep scientist's voice returns, almost like it's arriving from inside your own mind. You're entering the lucid drift. A memory field that stretches between galaxies, where cognitive energy left behind by dreamers, thinkers, and travelers collects. It's not just data. It's intention. It's emotion. It's unspoken memory. As the ship enters the field, soft patterns shimmer across the walls. A thought you forgot years ago, a song you once knew, the scent of a loved one's coat, a fleeting image from a dream you didn't remember having, flicker across the cabin like gentle waves. And then they fade. Not because they're gone, but because they've been understood. The lucid drift doesn't show you what you want, the scientist murmurs. It shows you what you're ready to let go of. It's where the mind organizes itself without effort. A space not for thinking, but for settling. A soft hum begins. Not mechanical. Not musical. But familiar. Outside the ship, faint light pulses in the drift like brainwaves. Delta. Theta. Sleep rhythms of planets. Moons. You. Your body grows heavier, like you're sinking into something safe. Like a blanket of gravity woven from memory. You may not remember this place, the voice continues, but it remembers you. It holds pieces of thoughts left behind by 1,000 civilizations, sleeping in silence. Yours will join them, softly, while your body restores itself below. No alarms. No direction. No mission. Only rest. Only release. The ship stops moving entirely. And you drift. You don't need to guide anything. The drift knows. And tonight, it carries you. The lantern moons of Virali. Some worlds don't speak. They glow. Time slips quietly out the door as the somnus one drifts from the lucid drift into another quiet corner of space, darker now, but not empty. In the distance, scattered like floating lanterns, small glowing moons drift slowly across a velvet black backdrop. They are the lantern moons of Virali. No star warms them. No planet anchors them. And yet, they shine. The sleep scientist's voice returns, soft as ever, nearly singing. Virali was once a star, a massive, burning engine of light. But it aged, and collapsed. Not violently. Not with noise. But gently. In its final moments, it released fragments of itself, tiny, round bodies of plasma and dust, each carrying a spark. Outside, dozens of softly glowing orbs hover in slow orbit around nothing, a constellation without a center. Each one emits a different color. Amber. Indigo. Silver. Pale green. They don't flash. They glow steadily, like night lights in a sleeping child's room. These moons do not orbit. They gather. They find others who emit the same rhythm, and drift together. Some call it instinct. Others, resonance. The somnus one slows, and passes quietly through the constellation of light. The windows are bathed in shifting hues. Your bed glows blue, then gold, then violet. The light feels soft, not bright, but comforting. Almost like it's watching you sleep, protecting you from dreams that wander too far. In sleep, your brain seeks coherence, the scientist says. It matches rhythms. Heart with breath. Thought with feeling. These moons do the same. They are separated by light years, and yet they find each other. Just like you, find peace. One moon drifts closer, a small orb no larger than a house. It glows with a warm rose light. Inside it, the sensors detect only silence, and memory. Not recorded with machines, but embedded in the glow. They say if you float among the lantern moons long enough, the scientist whispers, you begin to dream in color you've never seen before. You feel your chest rise and fall slowly. You feel warmth on your face. You feel nothing pulling at you. Just light. And rest. The somnus one drifts on. And the moons continue to glow. Not to be seen. But to be felt. The spiral archive. What you forget, the stars remember. The somnus one sails gently beyond the glowing presence of the lantern moons, into a region where light begins to spiral, curling inward, not into darkness, but into pattern. At first, you think it's another nebula. But this formation doesn't shift. It rotates, slowly and endlessly, like a seashell in space. Each loop of light forms a perfect spiral, curling toward a silent core. This, the sleep scientist whispers, is the spiral archive. No data pulses from it. No radiation escapes it. But ships that pass too closely report something strange, dreams they've never had before, thoughts they never studied, memories that don't belong to them. We believe the spiral archive is not a structure, the voice explains, but a field of preserved cognition, a record of all who have drifted here. Not their words. Not their bodies. But their impressions. Outside, the spiral turns like a great wheel of glowing smoke. Its arms stretch for hundreds of light years. There's no sign of civilization. No machines. No wreckage. And yet, it feels inhabited. As the somnus one drifts near the outer edge of the spiral, time seems to pause. Colors shift slowly, not through space, but through memory. You see visions, brief and gentle, of people who are not you. A scientist placing a hand on the hull of a shuttle. A child floating in low gravity, laughing soundlessly. A dream of a moon that hums. Our instruments detect low-frequency signals here, the voice murmurs. Not language. Not instructions. But something more personal, emotional patterns, recorded in quantum resonance. In other words, feelings, frozen in light. Inside the ship, your cabin grows still. Screens go dim. All systems enter passive mode. You don't sleep. You fall into recollection. Not just your memories, but memories that were waiting to be shared, gently, like stories told by stars. Outside, the spiral turns on. And on. And on. Not moving faster. Just, becoming clearer. There is no danger here, the scientist assures. Only the presence of what was, gently whispering back to what is. You close your eyes. And for a moment, you are not just a traveler. You are part of the archive. Your stillness becomes part of the spiral. And it welcomes you. The breathing planet. Not all life is loud. Some just breathes. The spiral archive fades slowly behind you, like mist dissolving into still air. The somnus one continues in near silence, sensors dimmed, propulsion reduced to nothing more than gravitational drift. Ahead, a dark shape begins to emerge from the velvet void. Round. Giant. Perfectly still. A planet. But unlike any ever mapped. It has no moons. No storms. No light of its own. It does not rotate, and yet, it moves. A slow pulse expands from its center, then retracts, then expands again, like the chest of a being in the deepest possible sleep. We call it somnora, the sleep scientist says softly. The breathing planet. No cities. No clouds. But signs of cellular activity, thousands of kilometers beneath its surface, in rhythm. Coordinated. As though the planet itself is alive, and dreaming. The ship slows even more. Not because it must. But because the presence of the planet asks for silence. As you drift closer, you begin to feel it, a barely perceptible thrum in your bones, like standing next to the ocean with your eyes closed. It isn't sound. It's pattern. Inside the ship, lighting dims to twilight. Everything becomes warm. Still. Suspended. Our bodies respond to somnora, the voice continues. Blood pressure drops. Cortisol levels decrease. Brainwaves align with delta state patterns, even in waking subjects. It is, in every measurable way, a biological lullaby. Outside, the surface of the planet shimmers with dark mineral waves. They ripple slowly, not because of wind or weather, but as if the planet were shifting gently in its slumber. You lie back. And without effort, your breathing begins to match it. In. Hold. Out. Pause. Not just calm. Not just peaceful. Aligned. You do not need to understand this place, the voice says. You need only allow it to be. And in doing so, allow yourself to rest without purpose. No thoughts now. Only breath. Only the feeling that you are not alone, not watched, not judged, simply accompanied by something vast and kind. The planet does not speak. But it breathes. And tonight, so do you. The glass horizon. In the absence of motion, reflection becomes infinite. Leaving the soft pulse of somnora behind, the somnus one ascends slowly, like a thought rising from the depths of the unconscious. The ship now enters a region so still, so delicately quiet, that sound itself seems hesitant to exist. Ahead, an impossible sight. A massive, flat field of light. Not a planet. Not a cloud. A horizon, perfectly horizontal, perfectly reflective. Endless in all directions. You're approaching the glass horizon, the sleep scientist murmurs. A mirror field suspended in deep space, made of crystallized baryonic dust, stretched thin across a gravity plane so calm, even time refuses to ripple. The ship does not land. It hovers just above the surface. And what you see below, is yourself. Not just your body. But something deeper. Your posture. Your thought. Your memory. Reflected in perfect stillness. This is not a mirror, the voice clarifies, but a surface tuned to perception. It shows not how you look, but how you are. The lights of the ship stretch outward into endless distance. Reflections echo beyond the field, not once, but again and again, becoming lighter, softer, more abstract, until the final image is barely more than a breath of light. Inside your pod, you feel stillness settle over your skin like dust in moonlight. Thoughts begin to slow, not by force, but by invitation. There's nothing to answer. Nothing to solve. Just noticing. Reflection is a phase of sleep, the scientist says quietly. Before dreams arrive, the mind sorts, weighs, balances. Not judging, just placing. Like arranging stars in a calm night sky. You blink. Your reflection blinks back, a beat slower. Not wrong, just gentle. A single sound echoes faintly through the field. A tone, like glass touched by wind. It lingers, then fades, like a sigh through a cathedral. This is where many travelers fall asleep, the voice says. Not because they are tired, but because they are seen. And in being seen, they no longer need to carry. Your breath deepens. Your mind clears, not by effort, but by surrender. There are no instructions here. No movement. Just reflection. And beneath it all, a quiet sense that you are exactly where you are meant to be. The gravity well of Lasara. Not all forces pull to destroy. Some draw you in, to hold you. The Somnus One rises slowly from the mirror-like glass horizon, its engines almost silent. But something begins to change. Not a sound. Not a light. But a gentle pull. It begins subtly. A shift in direction. A softness in pressure. You're not being dragged, you're being invited. Drawn toward a singular point in space where light curves without folding, and silence deepens into velvet. We are approaching Lasara, the sleep scientist says. An ancient gravity well, a soft one. Unlike black holes, it doesn't tear. It gathers. It listens. On screen, the structure appears, not a sphere, not a vortex, but a soft concave space like the inside of a bowl made of starlight. It glows faintly, as if lit from within by thoughts too old to speak. You feel it even in your body, your limbs slightly heavier, your eyelids softly pressing downward, your breath slower. The ship's artificial gravity fades, replaced by the gentle embrace of Lasara's natural field. Gravity is not violence, the voice continues. It is relationship. Between mass and time. Between what moves and what rests. Outside, the field grows more beautiful, fine bands of light swirl in slow, poetic arcs, remnants of matter that drifted too close, and chose to stay. Not consumed. Just held. The Somnus One dims its lights completely now. The cabin grows dark, except for the glow of Lasara through the window. It is the kind of darkness you get in the deepest phase of sleep, not frightening, but full. Safe. In deep sleep, your body stops resisting gravity. Muscles relax. Joints release. Your brain waves dip into delta, the healing phase. You fall inward. You restore. Time itself feels warped here, not stretched, but softened. Minutes feel like hours. Seconds become fluid. You can no longer tell how long you've been listening. It doesn't matter. Because here, there is no urgency. Only gravity. Only rest. Lasara doesn't pull you apart, the voice finishes. It pulls you together. And with that, you drift deeper. Held. Not by a force. But by something older than time. The right to let go. The temple of frozen light. Stillness, when deep enough, begins to glow. As the Somnus One gently drifts out of Lasara's gravity field, it coasts forward without sound, without vibration, as if space itself is cushioning the hull. The ship now enters a region where matter slows so dramatically that even light bends inward. Ahead lies something rare and breathtaking. A towering crystalline structure, suspended in space like a spire of frozen music. The light that touches it does not reflect. It lingers, bends, and seems to settle within. The entire structure pulses faintly, as if breathing in colors that don't exist on any spectrum. This, the sleep scientist whispers, is the temple of frozen light. It is not a building in the traditional sense. It has no walls. No rooms. Just a vast, vertically floating spiral of translucent plates, each one made of a substance unknown to Earth science. Something between crystal and memory. We believe the temple formed over billions of years, the voice explains. Here, in the coldest fold of this galaxy, light particles became trapped in hyperdense lattices, not destroyed, not scattered, but held. Perfectly. Permanently. The ship halts at a respectful distance. It doesn't approach further, because this isn't a place to visit. It's a place to witness. Inside the temple, light is motionless. Preserved. As though someone captured the last breath of a sunset, or the shimmer of a dream just before waking. Some say the temple is not just made of light, but made for light. A resting place. A sanctuary. Proof that even photons, even energy, sometimes need to pause. You watch, eyes half-lidded, as soft beams of ancient starlight pass through the upper spirals, then slow, and stop. Time does not flow here. It rests. Your body follows. Muscles soften. Thought pauses. Breathing fades to a whisper. Sleep is not the absence of activity, the scientist murmurs. It is the presence of protection. A boundary that tells the universe, not now. Let this moment be untouched. Inside your chest, your heartbeat slows to match a rhythm you didn't know you carried. One you feel more than hear, like the memory of a lullaby. Outside the window, the temple of frozen light continues its slow, unmoving glow. It asks nothing of you. It requires no effort. It simply is. And in its presence, so are you. The cemetery of suns. When stars die, they don't disappear, they become quiet. The somnus one leaves the temple of frozen light in reverent stillness, its lights low, its engines whisper quiet. For a time, the windows reveal nothing but darkness, vast, unbroken, sacred. Then, slowly, pinpricks of gray appear. Not white. Not golden. Not burning. Just, quiet. A field of ancient stars, no longer radiant. Some collapsed into cooled remnants. Others faded naturally, their light extinguished after billions of years. They drift like sleeping giants, strewn across a space no longer hot enough to awaken them. You have entered the cemetery of suns, the sleep scientist whispers. Not a graveyard, but a sanctuary. A resting ground for stars that gave everything, and now sleep forever. There is no fear here. No loneliness. Just dignity. Each stellar remnant glows faintly in infrared, their heat nearly gone, but still echoing in soft pulses, like the slow breath of something eternal. Some are white dwarfs, barely larger than Earth. Others are neutron stars, dense, silent, their gravitational fields intact, but resting. In their lifetimes, the voice continues, these stars birthed worlds, forged elements, lit skies on planets they'll never touch again. And when their time ended, they didn't explode. They yielded. Outside your window, one dark sun passes by, massive, round, glowing only in its memory. No flames. No corona. Just peace. We don't always need to shine to matter, the scientist adds gently. Even in stillness, even in cold, we remain part of the story. Inside your chamber, everything feels heavier, not burdensome, but anchored. As if gravity itself is giving you permission to settle, and stay. You lie back. You breathe. And in this moment, you realize something soft but true. You do not have to burn to be bright. You do not have to move to be meaningful. You do not have to wake to be alive. Around you, 1,000 ancient suns drift silently. And none of them mourn their light. They rest. Because they earned it. The river of ion wind. Even in space, something always flows. The somnus one glides slowly beyond the cemetery of suns, its sensors detecting something faint, something smooth, not a structure, not a planet, but motion. A current. A path. Ahead lies a gentle, glowing band stretching across the darkness like a river suspended in the void. It shimmers faintly in blues and silvers, twisting and curling, never breaking, never stopping. That, the sleep scientist says softly, is the river of ion wind. A constant stream of charged particles, slower than light, softer than solar radiation, yet always moving. Always flowing. You don't enter it like a ship enters water. You simply drift into its stream, and suddenly, your body feels lighter. Not weightless, but unburdened. The cabin fills with a faint, silvery glow. Not from lights, but from the interaction between the ship's surface and the ions drifting past it, like snow catching sunlight in deep twilight. This river was born from the breath of distant stars, the voice continues. Atoms set free by supernovae, drifting for millions of years, finally woven into this soft, endless stream. As the ions pass over the ship, they sing in frequencies too low for the ear, but the body feels them. A subtle hum in your bones. A soft tingle across your skin. Inside your chamber, lights dim to match the color of the stream. Your thoughts slow. Your pulse steadies. You begin to feel something you haven't felt in a long time, weightless focus. The ion wind doesn't push, the voice adds. It carries. Like a lullaby for spacefaring minds. Like water for travelers who forgot they were thirsty. There is no destination in the river of ion wind. No map. No speed. Only flow. Only drift. You let go of expectations. Of questions. Of time. You are not lost. You are being taken. By a current older than planets. And quieter than dreams. The archive nebula. Some clouds store rain. Others store time. As the somnus one glides out of the river of ion wind, the stars begin to blur. Not from speed, but from distortion. A haze begins to rise in the distance, not chaotic like fog, but precise, like a library built from light. It is enormous, a nebula stretching across light years, filled with slow-shifting colors, golds, violets, and antique greens. It curls and flows in elegant spirals, illuminated not from within, but by the reflected memory of starlight. Welcome to the archive nebula, the sleep scientist whispers. It doesn't form stars. It remembers them. Every beam of light that passed through here, never left. The ship does not fly through the nebula. It enters it. Like stepping into a memory where nothing decays. All sound fades. Even your breath becomes a whisper in this sacred place. Particles in the nebula act like mirrors, but curved, microscopic, and countless. They trap images, sounds, and moments that once passed through. Somewhere in the fog, a star explodes, not now, but still. The archive doesn't store objects, the voice continues. It stores occurrences. The birth of planets. The song of hydrogen. The thoughts of distant minds. As the ship drifts through, faint images shimmer in the cloud walls. A planet being formed from dust. A child laughing on a moonlit cliff. The heartbeat of a dying star. Not hallucinations. Not stories. Echoes. Real things, recorded by the cosmos itself. You stare, mesmerized. The longer you look, the more you feel, not confused, but held within a deeper kind of time. Sleep is like this, the voice adds. We don't disappear. We don't turn off. We store. Every dream, every moment, archived. Inside your cabin, all light becomes diffused. There are no edges. No hard lines. Just soft motion, like being inside a lantern. The walls seem to dissolve. You are floating through time itself, and it is not rushing past. It is welcoming you. You do not need to remember everything, the voice finishes. The universe remembers it for you. And as you exhale, you let go of memory, too. Not because it's lost, but because it's safe. Somewhere inside the archive nebula. The quiet rift. Not all rifts are ruptures. Some are doors, to deeper calm. As the somnus one emerges gently from the archive nebula, the stars rearrange themselves, subtly, but unmistakably. Constellations stretch. Background radiation shifts. Even the hum of the ship's systems goes silent for a moment, as if pausing to listen. Ahead, darkness again. But not ordinary space. This darkness has shape. Depth. Meaning. You are approaching the quiet rift, the sleep scientist murmurs. A narrow fold in spacetime, where physical laws loosen, and something older begins to listen. It is not a black hole. It is not dangerous. It is a slit in reality. Thin. Barely visible. But if you stare long enough, it opens. Through the rift, your instruments detect no stars. No radiation. Just an infinite gradient of gray, like moonlight submerged in still water. The ship drifts into it, and you immediately feel it. Stillness. Total. Profound. Healing. The quiet rift was first discovered by accident, the voice explains. A probe fell in, and never returned. But it sent back one final signal, a flat line. Not because it failed, but because it had nothing left to measure. Inside the rift, time becomes horizontal. You are no longer moving forward. You are floating across. Across memories. Across thought. Across breath. No tension exists here. The pressure in your joints eases. The ship's frame creaks less. Even your dreams begin to smooth, like waves settling after a long tide. Sleep is not a downward fall, the voice continues. It is a sideways drift, a passage through the quiet rift inside your own mind. The rift has no voice. No images. Only space to rest in. Not emptiness, but allowance. Your thoughts begin to untangle. You remember something kind. Then you forget, and it's okay. You do not need to understand this place, the voice says, softer now. You only need to float. And so you do. Unmoving. Unhurried. Unharmed. In the deepest stillness of all. The mind of the void bloom. Some minds grow from soil. Others, from silence. As the somnus one exits the edge of the quiet rift, something living begins to stir. At first, it feels like a shift in temperature, not cold or warm, but aware. Like being watched by something that does not judge, does not speak, but deeply understands. Prepare yourself, the sleep scientist says softly. We are approaching a life form, not carbon-based, not even molecular. Something far older. Something grown from dark energy itself. Ahead, suspended in space, is a massive, translucent structure, floating freely between stars, rotating so slowly it almost seems still. It's shaped like a flower, but not from any garden we know. The void bloom. Its petals are enormous fields of energy threads, curled like spirals of liquid light. They stretch across kilometers, glowing with faint neural pulses. This is not plant. Not machine. This is conscious space. The void bloom is alive, the voice continues. It does not eat. It does not move. It thinks. Every 200,000 years, it opens. And when it does, the entire region around it enters a neural synchrony. Including us. Inside the ship, lights flicker in rhythm with the bloom's pulses. Not malfunction, but alignment. A gentle syncing of frequencies between your mind and the creature's awareness. You feel it immediately. You are not alone. The bloom does not speak in language, says the scientist. It speaks in calm. In images. In impressions. In the kind of knowing that comes during deep sleep, when answers arrive without questions. You close your eyes. And see colors you don't have names for. You feel memories that aren't yours, yet feel familiar. You sense kindness, not like emotion, but like weather. Inside your body, your cells begin to calm. Your heart rate slows. The thoughts that usually spiral, soften into still pools. No pushing. No analyzing. Just connection. It is said the void bloom can dream entire galaxies, the voice adds. And tonight, it lets you rest beneath its dreaming. You drift there, inside the edge of its mind. You do not control it. You are simply welcomed. No need to explain yourself. No need to fix anything. Just float. While something vast and peaceful thinks beside you. The cradle point. Where forces cancel, peace begins. The somnus one moves away from the gentle embrace of the void bloom, its systems now calibrated with a serenity deeper than software. The ship's navigation panel lights up with a new coordinate, a location not marked on any chart, but remembered by every traveler who's ever found it. Next stop, the sleep scientist murmurs, is the cradle point. At first glance, there's nothing there. Just open space. No stars. No radiation. Not even dust. But as the ship drifts closer, you feel it, like slipping into the eye of a storm, or floating at the center of a held breath. The cradle point is a perfect gravitational balance between multiple stars and celestial bodies. Their pulls cancel each other out, creating a pocket of space where there is no pressure, no pull, no force trying to move you in any direction. It is pure equilibrium. A cosmic pause. Here, the voice explains, every force says, you may rest. You don't have to fight gravity. You don't even have to resist time. Just be. Inside the chamber, you begin to feel the truth of that. Muscles unclench. Joints soften. Even your thoughts lose momentum, like a pendulum slowing to its final, gentle stop. In this place, every movement you've ever made, every decision, every effort, is forgiven. Not erased, just allowed to rest. The cradle point has no beginning. No end, the voice says. It is not a place you discover. It is a place you remember, because every life needs a cradle. Outside the ship, the stars seem to flicker in slow motion. Light doesn't rush, it strolls. Photons hum softly as they pass, unhurried by time. Here, even the laws of motion take a breath. Inside, your breathing matches this rhythm. Not because you try. Because you no longer need to try. You are floating in the still center of the universe's heartbeat. Balanced. Cradled. Safe. And somewhere in the distance, the ship's systems whisper. Drift detected, approved. The kissing galaxies. Even galaxies need to reach for one another. From the cradle point, the somnus one turns silently toward a faint shimmer on the horizon, a ripple in the dark, as if two ghosts are dancing behind a veil. They're not colliding, the sleep scientist explains. They're greeting. Ahead, suspended in the void like a painting unfolding in slow motion, are two spiral galaxies. They hover edge to edge, their luminous arms stretching gently toward one another. Not smashing. Not merging. Touching. The kissing galaxies. Between them, no chaos. No collapse. Just a luminous bridge of stars and dust suspended. Between them, like fingers almost brushing. This is not war, the voice continues. It is magnetism softened by grace. Gravity, when patient, becomes affection. Your ship slows as it approaches the edge of the bridge, a glowing river of ancient starlight drifting between the two giants. The stars here are young and blue, born from the gentle tug-of-war between the galaxy's edges. Yet everything feels old. Timeless. The meeting of galaxies lasts millions of years, the voice adds. This moment, this kiss, is just the blink of one. Inside the ship, the lights dim to a soft lavender, the same shade as the stellar bridge. A warmth passes through you, not physical, but relational. Like being near two elders who found peace in simply being close. You watch as the arms of the galaxies continue their slow dance, never rushing, never tearing, just stretching, and returning. This is how the universe shows affection, the voice says. Not in bursts, but in patience. Not in taking, but in touching without harm. You breathe deeply. Some part of your heart softens. You remember someone you love, not with urgency, but with peace. You realize that distance is not absence. That gravity is connection. And that sometimes, the most powerful thing in the universe is the will to stay near. Outside, the galaxies shine against the darkness. Not fusing. Not falling apart. Just, kissing. The whispering belt. Some voices don't fade. They just grow quieter. The somnus one now moves beyond the luminous reach of the kissing galaxies. In the distance, scattered like pearls in the darkness, you see faint metallic glints circling an invisible axis, too regular to be debris, too quiet to be active. Approaching the whispering belt, the sleep scientist says softly. An orbital cemetery of forgotten technology, left behind by minds we've never met. The ship slows. You pass through a thin band of artificial satellites, each uniquely shaped, motionless yet intact. Some resemble flowers made of crystal. Others spin slowly, their solar wings long folded. They orbit nothing. Whatever world these once served, the voice explains, is gone. Perhaps destroyed. Perhaps abandoned. But the satellites remain, still transmitting, still whispering. You lean in. And then, beneath the hum of the ship, you hear it. A faint chorus of tones. Not language. Not music. Something in between. Like lullabies sung in a tongue lost to time, echoing from centuries of sleep. They still send signals, says the voice. Not out of need. But out of habit. Out of longing. Out of memory. Inside the ship, your cabin lights begin to flicker gently in sync with the satellite's pulses. You're not in danger. You're in the middle of a message that was never meant to stop. Each whisper carries a small packet of thought. A planetary weather report. A lullaby for a child born in starlight. A message home, long after home was lost. What is a whisper, if not a hope that someone is listening? The voice says gently. You close your eyes. And you do listen. Not to understand, but to receive. To witness. To honor. These aren't machines anymore. They are memories that kept moving. You don't have to respond, the voice adds. You already have, just by being here. The ship drifts silently on, the whispers fading behind it like wind chimes in the dark. And for a moment, you feel less alone. The still star. It does not shine brighter. It simply refuses to change. Beyond the edges of the whispering belt, the somnus one receives a signal, not from a satellite, but from a gravitational anomaly. A single point in space where everything seems too calm, too stable. At the center of this region floats an ancient star, not massive, not vibrant, but perfectly unchanging. This, the sleep scientist murmurs, is the still star. It has burned for 13 billion years. And not once has it flickered. Most stars pulse. They radiate, age, and evolve. But the still star is different. Its light remains the same. No flares. No sunspots. No signs of decay. It floats within a sphere of silence, not emitting sound, not pulling comets, not warping space. It simply is. The ship shuts down all thrusters as you approach. Not for safety, but for reverence. Theories abound, the voice explains. Some say it's the first star ever born. Others believe it's outside time itself, a fixed point the universe revolves around without knowing it. Inside the ship, the artificial gravity fades. You float, not falling, not rising, suspended in the same timeless balance as the star itself. You stare at it through the observation dome. No twinkle. No shimmer. Just a soft, warm glow, the color of ancient parchment touched by golden dusk. And something extraordinary happens. Your thoughts stop changing too. No rush. No sudden turns. Your mind becomes still. Not empty. Just, deeply settled. You don't always need answers, the sleep scientist says quietly. Sometimes, all you need is a place that doesn't ask you to change. The star speaks no wisdom. It offers no secrets. Its gift is presence. Unmoving. Unbothered. Unbroken. To sleep well, the voice concludes, you must sometimes return to the part of yourself that has always been steady. Like the still star. You float beside it, perfectly still. And in the silence, something inside you remembers what it feels like to be, unchanged. The molecular sea. What if rest is not stillness, but suspension? The somnus one slowly disengages from the orbit of the still star. As you pull away from that ancient, unchanged light, the ship begins to enter a region known only through theoretical physics, one thought to be unreachable. But somehow, you are here. Ahead lies the molecular sea, a vast, fluid field of suspended matter, invisible on radar, yet real enough to slow your ship's motion. It's not space. Not gas. Not liquid. It is potential, atoms adrift, unbound by molecules, waiting for meaning. Waiting for form. This region is pure possibility, the sleep scientist whispers. Every element exists here, but nothing has chosen a shape. Outside your observation window, it's like staring into a fog made of stars, not twinkling, but glowing softly, like moonlight filtered through warm ocean water. You don't see movement. You feel it. The ship rocks gently, like a cradle in a tide. The external sensors show no temperature, yet you feel warm. Not in your skin, but in your memory. Before planets formed, before cells were born, the universe may have looked like this, the voice continues. A molecular womb. A cosmic pause before creation. You're not just traveling through this sea, you're part of it now. The ship's systems dampen automatically. Lights dim to the glow of bioluminescence. Gravity softens until you float, weightless and slow, every movement feeling like a dream underwater. You breathe in. And suddenly, you're not thinking anymore. Your thoughts drift out of sequence. Past blends with future. Worries dissolve, not solved, but forgotten. You close your eyes. And inside them, you see the birth of a molecule. The quiet formation of a nebula. The breath of an animal you've never met, dreaming in some far-off jungle. A snowflake melting on a planet you'll never visit. All these images, all these stories, drifting inside you like particles in this sea. They are not hallucinations. They are echoes. This is where sleep goes to remember itself, the sleep scientist says gently. When your mind melts at the edge of night, it returns here. You drift deeper. Not to sink. Not to vanish. But to suspend, gently, like a thought waiting to be formed. Outside, the atoms continue their slow dance. No pressure to become anything. No need to organize. No need to know. Just float. Float in the molecular silence of before and after. Float in the in-between. Float where dreams wait to be born. The lattice of light. Structure isn't the opposite of peace. It's the skeleton of serenity. The Somnus One rises slowly from the soft, floating cradle of the molecular sea. As it ascends, your surroundings begin to sharpen. Not in danger, but in clarity. Tiny pinpoints of light emerge in precise, geometric patterns, not stars, not ships, but grids. Approaching the lattice, the sleep scientist whispers. A cosmic framework, so vast, we once thought it was background noise. Until we looked closely. Stretching across parsecs, you begin to see it. A crystalline architecture, like scaffolding made from light. It weaves through space like the hidden bones of the universe, invisible until you're close enough, or still enough, to see. These are light filaments, the voice explains. They hold nothing, and everything. Not wires. Not walls. But memory, embedded in space itself. The lattice doesn't shine. It glows, a soft, consistent pulse, like neurons firing across a sleeping brain. The entire structure appears alive, though not in the biological sense. It's thinking in symmetry. Dreaming in geometry. The ship drifts between the strands, and your body reacts strangely, your breath synchronizes with the frequency of the lights. Every pulse feels like a heartbeat, but not yours alone. A shared pulse. You're resonating with something much older than human biology. Some believe this lattice is the original code of the cosmos, the voice continues. A kind of sleep architecture for the universe, patterns that ensure rest between creation. You float through hexagonal corridors of nothingness and light. Occasionally, shapes emerge. A spiral of data encoded in pulses. A tetrahedron turning in complete silence. A sphere that seems to sing when you look at it. These are not alien machines. They are instructions for rest. Even the stars need rules for how to sleep. Even the galaxies require choreography to fall into their spirals. And here, in this lattice, you see the blueprint. Sleep is not a shutdown, the voice says. It is an arrangement. A sacred symmetry. A pattern that the universe remembers, even when we forget. You close your eyes. And behind your eyelids, the lattice remains. Your mind now holds a soft map, not made of roads or stars, but of frequencies and forms. The shape of calm. And suddenly, you feel more together than ever. Not just rested, but realigned. You are not lost, the voice whispers. You are held. The somnus one passes quietly through the last beam of the lattice, and for a moment, time feels arranged, not rushed. Like a song in the final chord before silence. The symphony of the seven moons. Some worlds do not speak. But their shadows do. A soft alert echoes in the ship, not urgent, but ceremonial. You open your eyes to a slow ballet unfolding before you. A gas giant, glowing amber and violet, looms large in the darkness, encircled not by dust or rings, but by 7 distinct moons. Welcome to the Orpheus system, the sleep scientist murmurs. The planet has no name. Only its moons, each carrying a note in a forgotten song. The ship enters orbit quietly, drifting among the moons in low, slow spirals. The moons are not siblings, they are strangers. Each with different geology, climate, and light. You observe. Celia, a glassy, oceanic moon with slow-motion tides and floating mountain ranges. Thren, dark, volcanic, whispering static through magnetic storms. Eos, smooth and pale, with cracks that pulse softly with blue bioluminescence. Chiral, made entirely of shimmering ice, its surface refracts light into sound. Vane, a desert moon, carved with endless spirals only visible from above. Ara, home to atmospheric rings that chime when struck by solar winds. Nyam, a hollow moon, echoing with tones like an enormous steel drum. Each moon rotates at a slightly different speed. But at one moment in their orbit, they align perfectly, not by size, not by gravity, but by resonance. Listen closely, the voice urges. The system is preparing to sing. You feel it before you hear it. A low-frequency hum enters your bones. Then, one by one, the moons respond. Celia's tides shift like a soft bass note. Chiral's light splits into shimmering chords. Ara's rings catch the stellar wind, and a high-pitched harmony drifts outward. From Nym, a slow, echoing percussion, steady, grounding. And together, they sing. Not in melody. Not in rhythm. In something older. Deeper. A gravitational hymn. No civilization lives here, the sleep scientist explains. But the moons, remember how to communicate. Not with words. With vibration. With orbit. With timing. You close your eyes. And the song continues. Soft, harmonic, full of space and rest. This isn't music for performance. It's music for the inner universe. For sleep. For healing. For letting go of needing to understand. When your mind quiets, the voice says, you may begin to hear your own moons again, the quiet orbits of memory, intuition, and breath. The song fades slowly, never truly ending. The moons drift apart, their paths unchanged, their secrets shared. You feel a hush settle in your chest. A personal silence that feels like belonging. The bloom of silence. Some things do not emit light. They absorb rest. The sensors on Somnus 1 detect nothing. No radiation. No gravitational pull. No temperature. Yet, ahead, something vast and beautiful unfolds. Not black like the absence of stars. But velvet, soft, alive. We are entering the bloom, the sleep scientist whispers. An anomaly discovered by accident, not by what it shows, but by what it silences. You lean toward the observation dome, expecting darkness. But instead, you see a void unlike any other, shaped like a giant flower with invisible petals slowly turning, though made of no substance science understands. It's not a black hole. Not even shadow. It's a presence that absorbs sound, light, and time, not with violence, but with welcome. The lights inside your ship dim without command. Your heartbeat slows. Your thoughts stop echoing. Some believe the bloom is a kind of ancient sanctuary, the voice says. Where collapsing galaxies went to sleep. Where dying stars curled in on themselves to rest in final stillness. There is no danger. Only invitation. You enter deeper. Outside the ship, patterns swirl, not made of particles, but of missing noise. You begin to feel it in your spine, then your chest, then your mind. Silence is no longer the absence of sound. It becomes a texture. Like silk, draped over your thoughts. Here, nothing pushes. Nothing pulls, the sleep scientist says gently. You are not required to think. To solve. To try. Your memories hush. Your mind doesn't erase. It simply lets go. This is not sleep in the traditional sense. It is pre-sleep. A state so quiet, even your dreams have yet to form. Inside the bloom, the ship drifts effortlessly, cradled by nothing. You close your eyes. And you are held. No voices. No symbols. No light. Only the softest extinction of urgency. This is the final gate, the voice whispers. Before true rest begins. Your breath deepens. You float deeper. And for the first time, there is no story. Only you. Suspended in the perfect silence the universe forgot how to name. The reverse horizon. Not everything in space moves forward. Some things, remember before they exist. As the somnus one drifts beyond the bloom, the ship sensors begin to behave strangely. Clocks tick backward. Internal logs play in reverse. Even your last breath feels like it came from the future. We are entering the reverse horizon, the sleep scientist says softly. A temporal anomaly that bends time, not in loops, but in a slow, thoughtful undoing. Ahead, a vast ripple expands across the cosmos, like a pond disturbed by a stone thrown yesterday. The stars around it aren't moving away or toward you. They are recoiling. Reversing. Unbecoming. And yet, nothing feels rushed. Instead, it's like rewinding a memory. Not to erase it, but to better understand it. This is not a black hole, the voice explains. This is an emotional one. A place where thoughts unravel with gentleness, where the past becomes visible, not painful. As the ship passes through the outer layer of the horizon, you begin to experience the sensation of remembering things you haven't thought of in years. You see a childhood sky. The hands of someone who once held you in silence. A sound from long ago, the creak of a gate, the distant bell of a bicycle, the hush of rain on a school window. But they don't return as noise. They return as warmth. Time here doesn't collapse. It invites. The reverse horizon allows the mind to unspool, gently, like a ribbon in the dark. Your brain is not made for constant forward motion, the sleep scientist says. Sometimes, to heal, it must go backward. To remember not what happened, but how it felt. Inside the ship, clocks slow further. Your thoughts, too. Every moment stretches like honey dripping slowly from a spoon. Even pain feels slowed, understood, softened. You watch the stars rewind. Not vanish, but re-express themselves. A supernova collapses into a star. A dead moon regrows its atmosphere. A comet unburns itself as it returns to the cradle of the dark. Here, the voice murmurs, regret is just time in reverse. And you are allowed to rest in it, without fixing anything. You close your eyes. And in the dark, you are not haunted. You are held by your own softened history. Your body doesn't tense. It listens. And the reverse horizon sings quietly, not to remind you of what you've lost, but of what you've gently survived. The dream fold. When the universe dreams, it dreams of us. The stars around you begin to blur, not from speed, not from motion, but as if space itself is falling asleep. Outside the ship, galaxies shimmer like mirages. The line between solid form and imagined thought dissolves. We are now entering the dreamfold, the sleep scientist whispers. A region not mapped by physics, but by sleep itself. A membrane between waking and wondering. This place has no shape. No direction. Only suggestion. Nebulas bloom like thought clouds. Planets drift in and out of visibility. You see